August 19th, 2021. I happened to catch two things. One, there is a staging event. It says on my info, it says public affairs events. This gentleman, I realize by the underscore, it says Major General. Now, if I have that correct, it's the major problems with the general public. He would be the liaison, or I don't even know if that's the appropriate, respectful word. It gets confusing, but I'm trying. I did, however, notice on my hat, he has a very similar, almost clouder ring looking adornment on his. I bought this in General Public in a souvenir store. Actually, Antonin actually bought it. All right, so now, after this gentleman, there's a gentleman that comes on who wears just a regular, like this is what I call valise, Valease for Dos Fadonia. And then there's a gentleman that comes out next, which is wearing a suit, which is the suit case, SUITCASE, for something totally single and separate, for gated space and time crime and for placement on venue. Now, I was born century 19, year 78. There's a man that's living in my residence, let's just say, since I've been in Ronkonkoma. His name is Anthony Tiafreo, and he was born 1975. His father, of same name, when he got his first job, it was selling Kirby vacuums door to door. The only reason this is even slightly important is the press secretary with this symbol of a pentagon with the alpha, beta symbols behind this gentleman's back says Pentagon. This particular instance only says Washington. It does not say DC. If this is what I think it is, because it also goes into mentioning gates and airports, then these factors are incredibly important. My father did not sell door-to-door vacuums for Kirby. In fact, he didn't sell any vacuum. He was not part of that kind of network. I do not have access to Tiafreo's 1975 family's Rolodex of useful humans. I was never supposed to meet Anthony Tiafreo. It's part of the tetra problem in a larger origami space and time kind of a way, which is further causing the destabilization, the tremors, that where I am, it's called Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, and the federal zip code for the U.S. postal system is 11361. I had a pen pal in Russia when I was younger, with a zip code associated with Cold Spring Harbor. Which is only important because the federal mail and the U.S. postal system was able to get mail from the country of Russia, which was set up through the school district, to my person, and we mailed a small, under $25 trinket and a hand letter. So I know that they went there, they knew where I was. That's the only important factor. Now, for facial visualization,
See how many people can get on 13 seconds.
star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.
You know, who's on the airfield, ready to leave a holding area and get on the aircraft. And as those numbers
And now one other thing. I tried to figure out how to fill out an SIV, but there's no American local that accepts these kinds of applications. There's no kind of consulate. There's no kind of State Department. There's no kind of governance. There's nothing in New York City, especially in Bayside, Queens area. I did, however, in somewhere in the year, Ben had just been born, so it had to be somewhere around 2000, 2001. The really tall, handsome man that I really wanted to leave that night with and never look back, showed up in New York, wherever I was, and he had a black, I guess I would call it black passport, in the sense of like he was a black something or rather, like leather bound on the outside, had my photo and some lettering I couldn't read. And it had been issued with my photo and his photo, and he wanted me to take a look at it in front of somebody else that was there. And then he just disappeared. So I don't know if I have some form of special transport on file somewhere. I just have no idea how to access it, since there's no personnel in the local area.
Increase, which you've seen they've had in the last 24, 48. The CENTCOM command team will continue to bring in the airflow required to fly out those people.
Sure.
So yeah, it doesn't say Washington, D.C.
Factor in this, among your many other factors,
And this is Kirby. This is John Kirby is how they refer to him in his suit, for suit case.
A planning factor. You wouldn't expect it to be otherwise.
John,
I'm
and
not
that's
gonna talk about
Kirby.
Specific force protection measures.
And they have him as the
against,
press
terrorist threats.
secretary.
I think, but clearly we're mindful that threat could persist.
Is that part of the reason for the overhead flights?
The Overwatch flights, again, have been in the air since before the non-combatant evacuation operation. It's prudent force protection measures in the air.
Now, last I was with Nicklaus, I was in a yellow and black not North Face jacket, but almost looking like that, with really ridiculous, with my hood over my head, and he gave me his sunglasses to wear. And then he wanted to give me a piggyback ride across campus. So he did, in order to meet Ian. We go to meet Ian, which I felt absolutely ridiculous, and he says to me, he referenced to Ian something about an overhead compartment, which I didn't fully understand. I never fully understand in this whatever's going on that I'm not totally aware of. Trying to get back to who I was with that day. And that was when Ian wanted to give me a brown envelope as an invitation of only myself, for some reason, to some award thing that they had put together on campus, which was some Greek thing. I don't know, was that a citation? Like an award something? And then I think maybe they had a lapel pin, but I didn't know what to do with a lapel pin back then. I had it in my drawer forever, and then it just got taken, along with my paper. It just disappeared. So I don't know how that works. I mean, in this waiting thing, some of my stuff just goes missing. I don't know if people are, like, coming into the house. I mean, it's not like it's, jailhouse lockdown, but my stuff just it randomly just disappears, and then sometimes it miraculously appears back, but most of the time it's gone. Oh, it's New York for you.
And to make sure that we.
They also reference it United States, and they also reference it as USA.
Or
Can I just, so I still want to be clear, you're nowhere near the demand for getting people out is nowhere near the 5,000 to 9,000 that you have established and maintained this capacity to do, right? One question. Two is, what's the best estimate? If American citizens are the first priority, what's the best estimate?
I'm not gonna do the rest of this because I don't really want to have him nailed to the wall with this, but they reference something 5 to 9. Now, is that V, like Roman numeral 5? Is that Alexander James with Nicholas and myself, Nicole, in that triad? It gets difficult because I know, again, after Alexander was born, then I had some version of Eric, which got confusing, and then it's so hazy here. Anyway, I have to think about this. And then in like 2014 or 15, then there was some phone call. I was waiting on some kind of internet security thing, and I was talking to the tech rep, and he was trying to help me pick a password. He was like, any old boyfriends? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really think so. It hasn't been that exciting of a life. So that was still true. Just the cache memory wasn't in remember. In like, sometimes there's a bold bearing, which is okay in certain mechanic shops, but in other shops, when the bearings are bold, that means there's no grip, and then there's no start, and then it becomes a problem, because you need some kind of grip or handle in order. I think that's what we also did with the fingerprints, but whatever on that one. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm still waiting in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York. It gets a little confusing. They were saying it, I don't know, there's so many things that they throw at media level, and honestly, it's just like one big staged event, and I don't really know how much of it is genuine or altruistic by nature. So my alien's just gonna document it and put it up on my file.